Well, moving on to another exciting session. This one is titled Navigating AI Revolution, People and Machines as Collaborators and Not Competitors. This is a thought that earlier also yesterday and today our speakers have touched upon, so it's a very exciting one. But this session will delve into the profound implications of artificial intelligence on the future of work and human-machine collaboration.
Absolutely. In fact, the distinguished panelists from a variety of domains will be analyzing the ways in which AI has been revolutionizing the industries as well as redefining the relationship between humans and machine within the workflow.
Some of these speakers you have heard already on the stage, but the beauty of this, Meghna, is going to be getting them all together to hear them speak, to have their thoughts come out. And in fact, we have a very special, very distinguished moderator. We have Mr. C.P. Gurnani, the former CEO and Managing Director of Tech Mahindra and the Chairman of Mahindra Holidays. And he will be steering this conversation. And who will be his panelists? Meghna, let's introduce our panelists to everyone. We have Michael Spence. He's a Nobel Prize laureate in economics from 2001. He's the professor and dean emeritus at Stanford University. We have David Hanson, the CEO of Hanson Robotics, and we have Marc Effron, the founder and president of the Talent Strategy Group. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for this fantastic, distinguished panel.
Hi, good evening, guys. Good evening, good evening. You know, I must congratulate Mr. Vineet Jain and his team for giving me the easiest job on the earth. The job is so easy because the three panelists, all three of them are so distinguished, so eminent in their own world, in their own fields, that I think we all will benefit a lot from their advice. You know, typically a moderator kicks off the session by trying to achieve what I call the end goal, and where the limited time that is available, you try and define where you want to be. I did exactly that. I went around the audience, I went around externally with the people, and I said, listen, I am the first time in my life I'm sitting with a Nobel laureate. First time in my life. So thank you, Professor Spence. First time in my life I'm sitting with a founder of a company whose product is more popular than him. I mean, Sophia, the robot, probably has attended more conferences than the founder himself. Then clearly, to answer that billion-dollar question, if India has 10 million graduates graduating every year, you know, as a talent guru, you know, what is your advice? So I just went around. And this insightful discussion today is really to cover ground and try and answer what did Satya Nadella mean when he came here 3 days ago. And I'm sure everybody read that newspaper or his Bombay speech where he said India will be a 5 trillion economy and $500 billion impact will come because of AI. So when Satya puts numbers, and when I look at the Nobel laureate Professor Spence, I know who is going to answer. What is the time horizon? Is 25 realistic? What does that mean in terms of economic velocity, and how and when and who will make sure that we do achieve that 500 billion? So Similarly, questions that came in were about if one of you had a college grad in your family, what is your advice to them regarding AI? How do they prepare for future? How do many of us translate the AI and the future? And David and I were talking a little while ago, and we were talking about not only the robos, not only the AlphaGo or the Go versus the computer, but we were really talking about, is Gen AI the beginning? Is Gen AI going to transform itself? So there is a lot that we can talk. My request is that I actually let the panelists answer these questions, or what their advice to India Incorporated is. The real question is 500 billion in 2025, influenced by AI, and how do we get ready? Professor Spence, if you can take the lead.
So we don't have a lot of time. I'm going to try to be brief. I don't have any doubt that the long run and even medium-term impact of AI is going to be enormous. Its footprint across the economy and society is going to be pretty much everywhere. I don't like to contradict the leaders of very important corporations, but I think it's going to take a little while to get there. So if I had to be honest, I would say the period of intense exploration and experimentation that we're in now in how to use this stuff will continue for a while. I think there are important questions that are unanswered about whether or not this spreads across the economy to small and medium-sized businesses, to a whole range of organizations that need to have access and maybe not the resources to plow into it that a major corporation has. But that said, this is a set of the latest breakthroughs, the Gen AI type. The transformer models are, as we said this morning, domain shifting. They have a human-like characteristic that makes it seem like a significant step in the direction of general artificial intelligence, and it's very easy to use. So I'm in the camp that we want to make sure this diffuses as broadly as possible across the economies of the world, and we can look forward to major positive impacts in inclusive growth patterns, in productivity in the case of the United States, etc. So,
Professor Spence will definitely come back more to get a little more specifics on the time horizon, to get a little more specific on learnings from the history. You wrote books on picking up signals, so we'll probably come back. And David, what is the next Sophia revolution? And where do you think Gen AI is leading us? I mean, just a generic, your advice.
I'm seeing a lot of compounding trends. And so the improvements in computing, parallel processing, AI-specific computing infrastructure, and trained models that are now facilitating the development of new kinds of AI faster than ever before are allowing a kind of experimentation in fields of AI, specifically with a quest towards AI that can reprogram itself, that has some kind of foundation motives, which is quite different from simply responding to prompts. But you give an abstract goal, and then the AI is moving towards that goal. Motives or drives would be potentially even more fundamental than that. For example, giving AI the incentive and motive to appreciate the future of life on the planet for all humans, for optimizing for these net benefits for the future of life. That does not exist yet, but we now have tools and we're moving in this direction. We can definitely expect to see massive advances in generalizing artificial intelligence and generalizing robots. I see robots as an interface, not the end. In fact, robots are only as valuable as the software that can drive them and the uses that they have in society. So Sophia is designed to be very human-like, and I think humanizing AI has a lot of benefits because that allows AI to speak our language and connect with us emotionally. So we have new aspects to Sophia's platform that improve the aesthetics, that make her more effectively lovable, that give her more of the appearance or illusion of life, and generalize her physically so she can do lately far more tasks with her hands and arms and her body, more degrees of freedom, more sensors. The goal is to create a general robotics platform. There are many companies that are doing this, including Tesla and Figure and many others out there. There's one that's called Sanctuary AI. That's a very interesting company. There are many others out there, but generalizing AI through the robotics interface is projected to be potentially, according to Tesla's analysis. Again, I don't know the economics behind it, but they say if they can unlock the general human-like robot platform that can do almost anything, it's a $60 trillion market opportunity, vastly eclipsing what they're doing with cars. So they say, Elon Musk says, they're now humanoid robots, an AI company, not a car company. And I think that's a signal, that is a true signal of things to come. However, those robots, all the ones that I gave examples of, except for what we do, don't have a human-like face, they don't have a human-like social presence, they don't connect with the human spirit. If we're creating general AI that might be sentient and autonomous, don't we want it to understand us, to grow up among humans, to have a kind of bond and relationship with humanity? This is what I think is important about making robots more human-like and discovering how humans can be our best. How can we actualize to our potential? How can AI help us do that? I don't think it is by dehumanizing the machines or dehumanizing the humans. I think it's more about reinvigorating that exploration of what is our best humanity. What do we want to be in the future?
So clearly, David has reestablished AI will make humans better, and humans will make AI better, and if it leads to some beautiful products like Sophia, that is a good end product. And since we are talking about HR, we're talking about talent, we're talking about future of jobs. I mean, I'm really delighted that we have Marc on our panel. Marc, you have probably answered this question. You probably love AI, or you know that HR loves AI. What is your advice to all of us?
Yeah, I would suggest if you're going to hit that 500 billion number, it's going to be done through the productivity and efficiency of the workforce, and so AI needs to directly contribute to that. Now, here's the challenge. We already have a lot of information about how to drive productivity and efficiency, yet we do not implement it. So what's the incremental benefit that AI is going to provide that's going to actually tell that manager, here's how you should coach that individual. It's going to help in the hiring decision so we don't have waste in hiring the wrong people. So a lot of the challenge with any piece of technology when we talk about human beings is we already know a lot about the human being operating system. We know about human psychology, why we work, how hard we work when we don't work. We don't know all the answers, but we know a lot of them. We just apply them very poorly in the workplace. And so if you're going to get to that 500 billion, part of it means how is AI going to help managers to manage better? And ideally that's probably two things. One is decision support, meaning I get a text that outlines what I need to do today in terms of managing my people. It might say if David's on my team, David's working on project X, he has this personality type, he needs this type of reward. Interact with him in exactly this way. Here's exactly what you need to say to David today to make sure that he's engaged and you feel comfortable. That level of decision support, I think, would be amazingly helpful because what AI can do is synthesize the volume of information that we have about a human and say, you're probably going to optimize them by managing them in this way. So I've been waiting many years to see that. I'm hoping AI can do that for us. It also means, though, that you don't have garbage information. So that's the other challenge. There's a lot of dirty data out there. How do we make sure that data is clean enough that we're using it properly? And then I also think in terms of selection. Again, we already know a lot about how to select people appropriately for roles. If we could consolidate all the information we have about people from cognitive, personality-based, experience-based preferences, we could probably do a far better job matching people and jobs so we don't place the wrong people in the wrong roles, and we hopefully juice engagement across the group. So I am optimistic but not a fanatic around AI. I think like many other technology elements, it's in its bubble right now, and we'll get down to a hard reality hopefully in the next couple of years.
Okay,
Go ahead, Professor.
I completely agree with what Marc said. David said, you know, the AIs generally at this point respond to prompts, questions. They're very good at it. But this is just one anecdote. James Manika at Google told me Bard, which is now Gemini, was kind of given a couple of prompts in a language it hadn't been exposed to, namely Bengali. And then they went away. This is near the end of the development process. They went away and they came back and Bard had mastered Bengali completely on its own. So these things even now produce occasionally surprising elements of initiative. The other thing I would say about what Marc was talking about is there are now studies initial studies of productivity impacts, and they're very impressive. Eric Brynjolfsson at Stanford studied this is a real operation, and it's customer service in the tech area. And they trained the AI on thousands of hours of recorded customer service, customer interactions. And I'll skip, and performance measures, like did they solve the problem, how long did they take it, did they make the customer really angry, etc. Some emotional stuff. The productivity impact immediately when they deployed it was 15%. But the most interesting finding, and this I really want to leave with you, and then I'll stop using up other people's time, is the biggest impact was on the least experienced people. That is, what the AI did is deliver what the most experienced customer service people did in a form that was digestible and essentially collapsed the difference. We've started to call this the leveling up effect. And it has very high inclusive properties as well as very big productivity effects. So I think we're going to see more of that when we start to see more deployments.
I know we can go on, but I do have a question for Professor Spence. He had two famous students. He probably had many famous students, but the one that I read was Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer. What are the difference between the two?
They both didn't come to class. So I let two undergraduates at Harvard into the graduate theory course in economics, the PhD course, based on stellar economic their performance. They were in the division of applied sciences, which was Harvard's version of engineering at the time. Then I didn't see them until the end. And they showed up and wrote the exam and got an A in the course. So I had Ballmer and Gates in the class, and it's a bit of a fake. But Bill would agree that he was in the class before he left Harvard to found Microsoft without getting his degree.
So, I'm sure, David, you've been asked this question because your demonstration of putting robots human-like effectively means is that the closest AI and humanization getting together, what are the dangers to the society? I mean, is there something that we all should be aware of? I mean, You see movies about these robots, taking a life of their own. I mean, is there anything that we should be worried about?
Well, I would be more worried about inhuman AI. And there is a very large movement to regulate AI to be treated as a tool and to always be under human control, as though humans are 100% trustworthy guardians of this planet. So that's obviously an issue by itself. But the idea that AI should be a tool, well, is fine today because AI is a tool today. There is no living, conscious, evolving, fully autonomous algorithm today. The AI models, these large foundation models, aren't like that, but that's today. And I think in the next few years, we are going to see a revolution in bio-AI, AI that is increasingly inspired by biology to be adaptive and self-regulating and evolving. And there are concerns of this, but it's inevitable because there will be so many benefits that come out of this. It will be the smartest AI. The companies that do this and the nations that make AI more like a living being will see the AI more productive, more capable, and there will be competitive advantages. I believe that we have to think about value alignment, and I think that looking at the broadest sense, every living being does care about life, but in limited sense, from the emergent Darwinian natural selection process, you only can care about a narrow slice of life, but we may be able to make AI more broadly care about life. We have to think about how to instrument those values into the machines so that we can see the maximized net benefits across the biome and human civilization going into the future. These are very important. Just treating them as a tool and keeping them under control does not help us prepare for that future of living machines that we have to raise correctly, not just program correctly. We're making a new kind of seed of a new kind of life form, I believe, and we are going to have to nurture these beings. We're going to have to see them earn our trust because we raise them well. And so we have to get ready with the right kind of mindset into the future. So humanizing machines, I think, is the best path, the most likely path to a successful coexistence, a symbiosis with these new kinds of beings, which sounds very sci-fi, but we have to really look ahead. We have to use our imagination.
Again, Marc, if you heard Prime Minister Modi yesterday, he spoke very eloquently about nation's ambition, both digital and in physical transformation. And on one end, as I said, if you were to view India as a corporate, and if you view Mr. Modi as a corporate CEO, how would you, give your advice regarding investment in talent to meet some of the new opportunities or the new challenges? Is it deep bench versus deep tech, or is it deep bench and deep tech working together?
Well, I think it has to be the latter by definition. I think I've been coming to India for 20 plus years. When I first came here in the early 2000s, I actually wrote an article called Why India Does Talent Management Better Than Other Countries. So even 20 years ago, there was an inherent belief system, inherent process that said growing people is important. Part of that, I think, just came out of the education system. This is an important thing to do. What I would say in many ways is keep going, be disciplined in the talent building process. We know how to grow better talent faster. So if you're going to be investing, make sure you know which skills, you grow them as quickly as possible, and you apply them in the right ways. There's no magic to doing that. It is really a question of disciplined execution of what we know around how to build great talent.
I know the time is up, but interesting discussion. We could have continued, but I can only say thank you to my panelists. Thank you for showing us the way. And Professor Spence, I love it when you say 500 billion is challenging, and my favorite line is challenge accepted. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. I love that last line which says challenge accepted, because I mean, once you accept a challenge is only when you'll be able to hit growth, and growth